Hey friends, welcome back to the Guitar Max channel. So whether you're going to play some classic AC/DC Angus Young style licks or maybe something a little bit more flashy, for my money an SG style guitar is one of the best guitars for playing pentatonic licks. And really there are two reasons for that. One of them is that the guitars just have really great fret access, especially on the high frets, of course. And the other thing has to do with the way the neck and the body kind of sit when you sit with the guitar, or even the way it balances when you're standing with the guitar. Basically what's going on is because the top horn here is kind of short, and you usually have the strap button on the back of that horn or sometimes on the back of the neck joint like this guitar, what it does is it kind of shifts the neck to your left. Like it shifts the neck this way, and so it puts the higher part of the fretboard, the higher frets, it puts it in a really comfortable position for you, so you can easily get really wide stretches with your fretting hand. Now it makes it so you have to reach down here a little further to do your chords, but that's usually pretty easy anyway. Having those the better fret access combined with the better position to stretch out your hand and get those wide stretches on pentatonic licks where you're combining like two different boxes of the pentatonic scale together, that's really a big advantage on these guitars. Some of the coolest pentatonic licks combine two different positions of the pentatonic scale, which creates a situation where you have to stretch your hand out across 6 frets or even in some cases like up to 9 frets. And when you have a situation like you do on the SG where you can really easily stretch your hand out there and there's nothing on the guitar which is in your way, it really makes playing those licks a lot easier. Now there's kind of two purposes to this video. One is of course to make the point that I'm making right now about pentatonic licks and SG style guitars, but the other one is of course so I can show off my latest Firefly guitar here, which is another SG. Now I say show off, but as much as you can show off a sub $200 guitar. And I know what you're thinking here. You're thinking, hey Max, you got one of those Firefly SGs just a few months ago, and you would be correct, but I got it in a different color, and lately I have really been loving this blueberry burst color that they're doing here. And you might recall that I have two other guitars, here's one of them, in this same finish. And so now I've got 3 of these Firefly guitars all with the matching finish, and I'm loving that. So my plan right now is to keep this one and my other Firefly SG that I got a while back. I'll probably give that to a buddy or something. Now let me go over some quick specs of this guitar. It's pretty straightforward. As you can see, it's a set neck design. It's a mahogany body and a mahogany neck. It's 22 frets on a rosewood fretboard. We've got the standard classic control layout of 2 volumes, 2 tones, and a 3-way toggle switch. And yeah, like I said, sub $200. These guitars go for around $180 to $190 in that range, depending on the color that you get. They've got one which is like a classic gold top, really beautiful looking one. But of course, I always love the the burst flame top finishes myself. Now we'll go ahead and get into the demo here in just a second. But one thing about these guitars, which is actually even better than an original like Gibson SG, is just a couple of minor changes that they've made to the body here, and it ends up making the guitar balance better. Now you can see here those 2 horns, right? The bottom horn comes in, the upper horn goes out a little bit. There's also a little bit of a kind of a sharper curve here, down here on this part of the body. Now that accomplishes 2 things. One is that it makes the fret access even better than it already was on an original SG. And then because you've got this extra wood down here, it helps the body get, gives a little more weight to the body, which helps keep the neck up, because classic SG style guitars are notorious for having neck dive problems, and these little changes that they've made to this model of guitar help deal with that. Okay, now let's go ahead and get into the demo portion here. I'm going to burn through a few of my favorite pentatonic licks and give you some sound samples for this guitar. Now I'm using my classic old reliable Fender GTX 100 amplifier for the demo. And guys, as always, if you enjoy videos like this, checking out cool, affordable guitars, and you have not already subscribed, please consider subscribing right now. Okay, let's listen to how this guitar sounds. So again, guys, look at the fret access on this. You know, you run your hand all the way down. My hand actually goes past the end of the fretboard. So that 22nd fret, you can just grab that so easily, do some vibrato, and your hand's not hitting the side of the body at all. It makes the entire fretboard totally usable. There's not very many other guitars that are like that. Maybe a Flying V. You know, those are typically like that, again, because there's just no body right there, in a lot of cases at the end of the fretboard. But most Strat-style guitars, you know, the lower horns come pretty far up here, and when you're trying to do like a big vibrato where you're twisting your wrist and twisting your hand, you end up hitting the wood of the body down there. And you don't have any issues like that with this guitar. Now, this is technically called the FFLG. That's Firefly's name for it, but you know, this style of guitar, an SG style guitar, this will always have a special place in my heart because honestly, Angus Young from AC/DC, he was one of my first guitar heroes. You know, when I was just discovering guitar and how cool guitar could be, he was one of the first players that I really just listened to, and it was just like, wow, you know, how do you get those sounds out of guitar? And he has such a great, just dirty blues style. I still love listening to it to this day. And of course, pentatonic licks are always just really fun to play, but the other thing about them is when you learn the different positions of the pentatonic scale laid out on the fretboard, or the different pentatonic boxes, when you learn those different boxes and how they relate to each other, it's super useful in just developing your understanding of how all of the notes are laid out on the fretboard. And honestly, most guitar players know the first position of the pentatonic box. It's usually one of the first things you learn on guitar. But if you don't know all 5 positions, I really want to encourage you to learn them. And actually, let me go ahead and just give you a quick example in the key of A of the different boxes. Check this out. Again, that's in the key of A, and you can play that in any key. But don't be like me and only learn the first box, which was, you know, I mean, I played like that for years. But when you learn those other positions and how they all tie together, it will really help expand your understanding of the fretboard. Okay, guys, I will have links for everything I was talking about down in the video description below. I will have a link for this guitar, of course. You get these from the Guitars Garden website. I will also have a link down there for the amplifier I was using in the demo. That's the Fender GTX 100 amplifier. And I will also have my social media links and my latest instructional video. My last question to you guys is, what do you think of this finish? They call this Blueberry Burst. And I love this one. Even with, you know, the cream pick guard and the little accents here, it looks awesome. Okay, guys, as always, thanks a ton for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll talk to you soon.